and everyone in the room. It is 5 minutes past the hour of 10 GMT, and I think it's appropriate time for us to start this event today. Yeah, hi, I'm Samuel Abanigbe, the co-convener of ASFI Tea Time. I have here in the room with me my colleague, Dr. Uchechi. They're going to speak to us briefly, but I want to welcome us all to this third edition of ASFI Tea Time. ASFI simply means African Science Frontier Initiative. And of course, we're going to celebrate our 5 years of existence this year. And I know that within that period of time, ASFI has been doing a lot of programs to advance science and research in Africa, and of course, to bring about productivity and impact in our research output in Africa. Today, we're going to discuss on collaboration. We're going to look at it in the context of the impediment to collaboration and how we can work together to surpass some of these impediments to bring about a greater output as scientists in Africa. So in this room, I want to welcome all of you here. I can see a lot of faces that are available with us here. The convener of ASFI is here with us, Professor Bright, and also the director, Professor Emma Sob is also here with us. And also, let me also welcome my president, the General Assembly President of ASFI Members Assembly. That's Professor Eunice Fumbele from Cameroon. We have a lot of friends from Ethiopia, from Rwanda, from Mozambique. You can see some friends from Uganda, even Nigeria, and some of us are from South Africa. So on this note, I want to welcome us all to the third edition of ASFI Tea Time. Today, 14th day of March 2025. On this note, I'll call on my colleague, Dr. Uchechi, to introduce the forum. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Wherever you're joining us from, hope you're with your cup of tea. I hope you can see mine. Yes. This is a place where we exchange conversation, where we collaborate, where we talk as African scientists. And then today we'll be hosting another very important one. And this is the third one in the series. My name is Dr. Uchechi Blisonyedikachi, the Communication and Public Engagements Vice President of African Science Frontiers Initiatives Membership. And I want to join my voice to what my co-convener, Dr. Samuel Abanibe, has said, to welcome our president, Professor Bright. Prof, you're welcome. And all other ASFI finance leaders, you're all welcome to this third and very valuable event. Of course, it's going to be a money-making event for all of us. Ask me how. At the end of this program, I'll tell you why it is a money-making event. Yes, today we'll be looking at collaboration impediments in Africa, overcoming factors that hinder us. And we have somebody very special in our midst, the lead speaker for today's event. And his name is Professor Kaysan from Ahmadu Bello University. So we'll all be hearing from him. But briefly, let me introduce what ASFI's mission and vision is. ASFI's mission is saddled on instilling excellence in African scientists through capacity building, career development, empowering African scientists to play a more active role in continent transformation. And then one big vision is the concern of ASFI, and that is to raise the next generation of African scientists with the right competencies to drive Africa's developmental and transformational agenda through innovative scientific research. And that is why today we'll be looking at the issue of collaboration, because there is this saying that if you want to move fast, you can move alone. But if you want to move very far, you have to work with others. And so just before we continue this, let me read the profile of our lead speaker today, Dr. Mohamed Usman Kaysan. He's an associate professor of mechanical engineering at the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, specializing in renewable energy, alternative fuels, and sustainable manufacturing. He has held key leadership positions, including Deputy Director of NASENI, Deputy Director of Equipment Maintenance and Development Center at the same university. Dr. Kesan has been a member of the Presidential Committee on Technology Transfer and the Nigerian Society of Engineers Committee. Oh, please, I think we can just give a thumbs up for our lead speaker because he's heavily loaded. I just want all of us to be expectant today as we continue. But beyond the academia, he has been a consultant engineering facility. He is also he's also the solar energy. Sorry, please. I beg your pardon. Dr. Kesan is committed to advancing sustainable energy, industrial innovation, and academia industry collaboration. So that's why we feel he's the best fit for today's event. So without further ado, I just wish that all of us should give a thumbs up to our lead speaker while we wait for the video to be played by Dr. Ajibola. Dr. Ajibola, please. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Uchechi. I'll be playing the video soon now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sam Altman is going to be the next Elon Musk, maybe the next richest man in the world. Controls ChatGPT. It's a big deal. You know, ChatGPT was trying to raise $7 trillion. That was his raise. $1 trillion. Didn't quite pull it up. Can you imagine? Nobody's ever raising 100 billion is insanity. He was trying to raise 1,000 billion, 7,000 billion. I wouldn't have believed it, but I saw an interview with Mark Zuckerberg saying it. So Sam Altman, guess who started ChatGPT with him? Elon Musk. So Sam Altman wasn't this solo entrepreneur. So that's why I said the myth, going back to this people working together, if you can figure out to work together, because sometimes you have a lot of egos with smart people, but if you can figure it out, you're much more powerful than if you can only work alone.
So that's just a short video. I'd like to invite Dr. Sam on board now.
Thank you very much. Is Dr. Samuel there?
I don't think he's on the call right now. I think it was.
Oh. Okay. So briefly, I just want to speak to the last video we watched. I don't know if somebody took note. It was a meeting of different technology service. They gathered and they were, conversing on the latest of the man behind ChatGPT, Sam Altman. And Sam Altman, when he started ChatGPT, he had proposed that he would make about 7,000 trillion naira. 7,000 trillion dollars. And that's a whole lot of money. And then the man who was talking about that was Mark Zuckerberg. The man, all of those people are so rich, and then they are the technology icons that we know. And they were like, that's very crazy for a man to think about that. But looking at his dream and what he wanted to achieve, he knew that working alone, he would not be able to achieve that goal. So he decided to collaborate with Elon Musk, one of the richest men in the world. Or I don't know if he's the richest now, so I don't. And so that video was just highlighting the power of collaboration. If you really are set to achieve a particular goal and to do it very well and to meet your targets, especially as African scientists, of course, we need this collaboration because of that saying that goes that one good head is not enough. We need many heads to fine-tune our ideas, to fine-tune our dreams, to make us get to the target and the beautiful profits we want to make. Thank you, everyone. So let me once again invite Professor Kaysan to come on stage as we begin our discussion for today. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Uchechi, for that review of the video. One thing that I want to take away from that video is that if you have a target of achieving millions of dollars within our scope, of course, that could be achieved, and that can be achieved if we join hands together with others to achieve our dreams. So on this note, we will go straight into the discussion session, while Dr. Uchechi will lead the discussion, lead the questions, and we'll take it from there. Dr. Uchechi, over to you again.
All right, thank you very much. So I just want all of us to keep our questions. You can put it in the chat box. You can write it down so that when the time comes, you can speak up or to any of the events you find very interesting to you, especially those that resonate with you. And then one important thing, if you feel you've had experience that you want to share with us here, just in 1 minute, that would be very nice to take us back home after the event. Thank you very much. Professor Kaysan, have you ever struggled to collaborate with? How did you handle it, Prof?
Hello.
Hello, Prof. Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Could you kindly repeat the question?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof. I just wanted you to share insights with us. If you have ever struggled to collaborate with another researcher in your institution, let's say ABU, or even in Nigeria, or across Africa, what happened? How did you handle it? If there was any challenge collaborating with in that particular situation? I don't know if it's clear now.
Yeah, it's clear. And thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to be present on this Populous Pavilion with Palatial platform on the network of African Science Frontiers Initiative. As I have been introduced as a teacher in Mechanical Engineering Department at Ahmadu Bello University, I have joined the research world since my employment with the Energy Commission of Nigeria in 2010, before joining the university service in 2016. I have collaborated with researchers within the country, on African continent and beyond. But one of the most important collaborations I ever got was through the social platform, the ResearchGate, where I saw an Indian looking for a collaborator in the field of mechanical engineering. I wasn't sure and confident that I could collaborate with the person. But after a small chat within the mails under the ResearchGate platform, we are still in collaboration, and that collaboration has led to a network of collaborators with researchers from different continents. That was Dr. Sonny Narayan, who is now in Mexico, and who has brought me to collaboration with researchers in the Middle East, researchers in the Soviet Union, and researchers in different parts of the world, US, UK, and there is through only one collaboration. So I want to say it's an important thing to have collaboration, because through my collaboration, I was able to publish much more than I could do alone. And I was able to access some grants and even have more funding on our activities here within the country. But some of the challenges associated with collaboration, especially on the African continent, include the issue of lack of strong network and partnership within us. Sometimes it's even easier for one to collaborate with someone abroad or overseas than even other African scientists. Then we have limitation of funding. We have lack of involvement of our industries in terms of research outputs. Sometimes our researchers in the universities, polytechnic, and colleges are kept in shifts, while the industries are going around the world shopping for similar technology. We have poor infrastructure here on the African continent and issues of intellectual properties, because you may be afraid to collaborate with your colleague or a closer partner, because such a person could likely use your idea and transform it to something else. So issue of research integrity is one of the challenges too. Then the issue of institutional bureaucracy. Sometimes to have an application approved for you to join a collaborative network becomes an issue, because it has to pass through a head of department, maybe the dean. If there is directorate of research and innovation, it has to pass through it, then maybe to the vice chancellor at the end. All these bureaucracies sometimes slow down issue of collaboration, and you may find out that your other collaborators are looking for funding that requires you to give a support letter, for instance, which will be needed within 24 hours, but you have to pass through different bureaucratic processes. Then the issue of mobility within the African continent and beyond, issue of visa and challenges. Sometimes you may have a conference you need to attend, and issue of visa will now delay or deter you from attending the conference. Issue of language barriers too are some of the challenges. On the African continent, we have so many ethnic groups, different languages spoken by different ethnic entities. And that language barrier should have been a very strong weapon we use in Africa to collaborate. But unfortunately, some of us hide behind the language barrier to deter the progress of research and development on the continent. Therefore, for instance, now, if you have a single innovation, in Nigeria alone, you can translate that innovation into over 500 languages, and so many people will now benefit from it. But because of language barriers, sometimes all these ideas are kept in English, which is our official language, and some other people who have no ability to read and write or understand the English language deeply, may not have access to that. Then the issue of brain drain. Let me tell you, as I'm speaking now, in the Nigerian Young Academy, we lost about 17 members within a year to the foreign nations, because this is what they call Japa syndrome. It happens because we are poorly remunerated within the continent. Only few of us that think we want to stay on Africa and build our continent stay behind, although with a lot of temptations that will now wish to take you either to one country or the other. Sometimes when you travel and come back, even your colleagues will be challenging you. Why are you back? You should have done opportunity and hang around. So these and many more are some of the challenges I normally encounter in terms of research collaboration being operational within the African continent and in Nigeria as well.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Prof. You know, just a question has drawn Prof to a lot of things aside poor funding. You know, uniquely for an average African scientist, when you ask them what the problem is, the problem of collaboration, the first thing that comes to their mind is the issue of funding. But you see, Prof have moved us away from just funding to issue of bureaucracy, which a lot of us have experienced, especially as young African scientists. And not just that, the language barrier, which ASFI is trying to break. Just like you can see, myself, I come from the East. Our lead speaker comes from the North. And my able Dr. Samuel Abanibe, comes from
the Southwest.
Yoruba, yes,
Southwest.
the Southwest. And many of us from diverse nations. You know, Africa, ASFI has drawn together diverse African scientists from 21 nations and even counting. And you see, we want to break this bond that is holding us from moving. from moving forward as African scientists. Of course, I mentioned what our mission and vision is here, is to instill excellence, and for us to achieve broader, to get to the global scene, doing transformative research. And we thank the ideator for this, Professor Bright. So you see, the issue of competition also, Prof, I thought you would have mentioned it. Sometimes we notice that for scientists who are in the universities or other academic settings, they often compete amongst themselves. And this competition has stopped us from collaborating. I think you mentioned something like you don't want somebody to copy what you're doing, maybe your research. And then we have this crab mentality, draw him down. And then the issue of JAPA, some colleagues will not even want you to JAPA. I don't know. I don't know what you can say to that, Prof. You know, the issue of competition, has it stopped us? If true, why? And then how can we move forward? Because I think every young scientist, especially those of us in Africa, we need to know this. Thank you again, Prof.
You're welcome once again. You know, on the issue of competition, which is very key and sensitive to our excellence, our performance in terms of research collaboration. You will be surprised that you will be working in an academic department and you have a very young and vibrant colleague who is also working in the same academic department. Two of you from the same university. For instance, if your impact factor is 10 and the impact factor of your other colleague is 9, if two of you join hand together, both of you will have the impact factor of 19, which makes you stand out maybe on the global scale. But instead, you will be competing. Everyone will now be thinking of personal recognition within the institution. When you are availing yourself to be a local champion within your institution, others who are collaborating are becoming global heroes. So issue of this pressure of personal recognition is one of the things that draw us back in terms of collaboration. Then the issue of collaborative culture also. You know, most of our colleagues on other continents find it easier to mingle and collaborate with other researchers. You may meet a scientist from Europe, maybe, or from the US just in a day, and you become close friends. But in Africa, sometimes everyone will be hiding him or herself, thinking that I want to be known or I want to be recognized. For instance, now, if your university is such a one that normally awards the best researchers of a year, instead of you to work together and two of you, maybe one will be a runner-off, all of you will now be taking side, trying to hide what you are doing to your next person. And that has led us to the other former discussion on intellectual properties too. We had cases of professors publishing the research work of their neighbors, their office mates, when people were sharing offices in ABU. This one was supervising a project or a thesis, and the other one was listening to them carefully, using the idea to publish instead of waiting for them to even have the research concluded. He must have gone to the press and published same idea. And it happens all around Africa. So these are some of the challenges we have. The issue of idea theft, lack of collaborative culture, and issue of pressure on personal recognition. So we have to work hard to break these barriers. And you have already spoken on the issue of JAPA also. You know, the issue of JAPA, one thing I understand is that if you are working for a country as a scientist, you are making that country richer day in, day out at the expense of your own country. You may be well employed, well remunerated, and you have a conducive environment. But what happens to your future unborn generation in the country? Your great-grandchildren that will come. What have you been given? What legacy are you leaving behind for them? Is it enough for you to have, let's say, $15,000 in a month and maybe leave 15 million Nigerians in hunger? These are some of the things we need to be reminding ourselves. Nobody says that if you have an opportunity to work in any of the developed nations, you shouldn't. But put in your at the back of your mind, maybe I have to go there for 2, 3, or 5 years maximum, so that I will get to know what they are doing and transfer the technology back to my own country. So we have to have our nation or our continent at heart. These are some of the things I think will foster research, progress, and or development on the African continent.
Wow. Thank you again, Prof. Honestly, I think you have nailed it. Within the shortest of time, you have mentioned a lot that we'll go home with. But I think for myself as a person, I believe some other persons here have their own perspective. So I think you should raise your hands or send your question to the chat box so we can also share together why Prof is here. I think the challenge we have as young African scientists is poor remuneration, you see. So the monies that we get from as academics does not match our efforts working. And so whenever some persons get the opportunity to travel out, just like Prof said, he says, anytime he comes back, people are like, why did you come back here? You know? And then even their skin, when they come back, I think Dr. Sam can relate.
Yeah. I wanted to comment when Prof was talking about Jackpot syndrome, but of course, I need to come to say that there are a lot of things that we need to look at in our local countries as far as collaboration is concerned, and that's bordered on policy. And of course, when you look at all of these institutional policies and institutional bureaucratic systems, you will see that it has a lot of impact on people on a national taking a decision to actually leave our country to go and do better work in another country. For instance, I know in Nigeria, for instance, now, if you just get a job as an young academia, maybe you have a PhD and you get a job under less than 1 year, and possibly you have an opportunity to do a collaborative research work in another country, out of your country. Because of the policy of the country, you might not be allowed to leave the country to go and do that collaboration. And of course, the output from that collaboration is being in there. So, Prof, I don't know if you understand that some of this policy we need to look at it in a new dimension to see the need to spur output. So I want you to speak to that area of policy on the area that a young graduate or a young academia that just got a job in the academic environment in a national, and within 1 year, he had another opportunity to work somewhere out of the country. And because of the policy that he might not leave until after he spent 1 year or 2 years, he cannot leave his the particular national to another national. That can hinder him to go. So what do you say to that in the area of collaboration and area of our output, Prof?
Yes, thank you so much, Sam, for this question. You know, issue of policy formulation is sensitive to growth and development of any country. Unfortunately, for most of the countries in Africa, the people who are at the helm of the affairs of policy formulation are not learned. When I say, for instance, now, as Dr. Uchechi contests for National Assembly seat, you will say, no, she has a career as a researcher. She will wait. People who are making policies that will drive research and innovation may not be much knowledgeable. They may not have in-depth knowledge of research and innovation in most of our countries. So this is one of the challenges. They will just be treating research institutions and universities, colleges, and so on, just the way they treat normal public service. You know, in a normal civil service, they will say, after recruitment, you have to stay for 2 years before you are confirmed. It is only after your confirmation that you can move from one place to another, this and that.
Exactly.
But it shouldn't be the same with universities, polytechnic, colleges, and research institutions, because these are places where brains are being developed. And these are places where innovations are being made for national development.
Sure.
That is why I'm not campaigning for any organization, but if you recall, Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, that's ASU, has been campaigning for university autonomy. The issue of autonomy is to allow each public university to be in charge of its own policies that will best suit the location, the particular community that university is, and the research brief that university has established, so that in terms of electing who will lead the university as a vice chancellor, electing who will be in social and social position, appointing who and who will be in different research and innovative positions should be left to the university, except for some federal fundings. But the university should be allowed to manage its own human and natural as well as technical resources. So, but it's unfortunate that this issue has been dragged so many times between the government and the academics. So I want to say in summary that policy formulation is key to this. And we have to allow researchers to be at the policy making end at different levels, state level, local level, as well as national levels, and in different countries. And African bodies like African unions, ECOWAS, and the rest must have policy-making organs that are strictly research-based, and they should have only seasoned researchers who will now be members of that policy-making organization.
Thank you, Prof.
This, I believe, will move ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Sorry, our time is running, and we have a lot of things to discuss on this issue, and a lot of questions are coming up in our chat box. But before we go to the chat box, I also want to take you back on this issue of institutional policy, and also take you to another concern of involvement of businesses, involvement of organization, industries in collaboration for output. You know, as a young man, I've had experience in private sector, and I've seen the weight of how private sector can actually advance research output, even in agriculture, because I apply my industry, I apply my field in agriculture. But I realized that most of our industry, especially in West Africa, let me make that context, because I've actually interacted with other African countries, and I see that there is a difference between how industry relates with research institutions or universities and what happens in West Africa, like Nigeria, for instance. So I want to find out from you, Prof, what do you think is actually causing the gap or the distance between industries and the institutions to actually come together to bring about outputs in a particular economy? What do you think is the problem, and how do we address this problem? Briefly, sir.
You know, this issue has been a global issue, but most of the developed countries have overcome this.
Very well.
I was going to be in Global Grand Challenges Summit in 2019 in London. It was organized by the Royal Academy of Engineering, the US Academy of Engineering, and the Chinese Academy of Engineering. And the major thing is nothing other than academia-industry collaboration. In fact, I was able to win a research grant from the same Royal Academy of Engineering on this Academia Industry Alliance on Effluent Management in Nigerian oil and gas industries. Let me tell you that most of these so-called developed countries, they don't play with this kind of collaboration. But coming back home in Africa, unfortunately, that is where the challenge is. Academia are on their own, private sectors and industries are on their own. And if this will come together, I would want you to believe that even the issue of funding, research funding, will not be an issue anymore. Because when an industry or a private company has a particular challenge in terms of manufacturing, in terms of marketing, in terms of packaging or product development, or at any stage, they can collaborate with a particular research institute or university and allocate some funding. For instance, we know that based on ABC Limited's projection, if we develop this product A, we are going to make 1 billion naira in a year. Then what stops ABC from allocating 200 million for research and development as a grant and advertise it in the national daily? Any of our research institutions or researchers or maybe academia actors can apply with a certain criteria just to develop that. You will have a patent which will bring in, what do you call it, royalty at the end. You will publish, and you will get the grant to do so many things. And part of the grant will pay for the extra remuneration.
Exactly.
As we are complaining of, what do you call it, the wages are too small here.
Remuneration.
1, 2, 3 grants For instance, you will see a professor consulting for over 50 industries. I have a CV of one interest from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. One professor consulting for 50 industries. I said, yeah, then I will never stay without consultation. Right now, as speaking, I have 1, 2, 3 industries that I'm always consulting for. To earn extra income, it will allow me to stay on Africa and continue with my research.
I stay in Nigeria. Prof,
Yes.
I need to pause you. I need to pause you now because there are a lot of questions on the chat box, and we have a lot of people that want to react to what we are saying. So I quickly open the room for Professor Bright. I think you want to make a comment or contribute to this discussion while we take some other chats from the chat box. Professor Bright, you can speak, please.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I thank you, Dr. Usman Kaiser, for these important thoughts. This is a very, very important area of discussion, and that is why in ASFI this year we have made it as our theme. For those who have been following us, so we are taking, we say it's collaboration, from collaboration to impact. That is a theme we are working on this year. But yes, to add to some of the things you have mentioned, I have noted some ideas here of some of the things that really either abort collaboration or brings it to a standstill. One of the things I have observed in my experience is the issue of ideas. It is actually ideas that drive collaboration. Ideas drive collaboration. Something needs to bring the parties together. And where there is lack of ideas, collaboration is empty. Sooner or later, everybody goes their way. So it is important to think of what ideas, and as scientists, what do you want to actually do? That is the first thing I think is important. The other thing I've noted is expectations. Many people think that, well, I get into collaboration because I want to publish, I want to get funding, I want to do that, I want to travel, I want to do that. But in ASFI, we emphasize so much the value of research and science to the society. If you go into collaboration, yeah, you can have expectations, but the expectations should not be personal benefits. It goes beyond that. It should emphasize what are we coming together to do that will benefit society, benefit our career, benefit our institution. Once we think in that line, it lasts long because collaborations will come with challenges. Things will make you want to give up. But if you know the value you think this will bring, it keeps you going. The other thing is, I call it ready meal versus working together to prepare the meal. Sometimes people want to go into a project that we give them something immediately that is almost ready. But that is quite a short-term benefit, and it doesn't last. If you get into collaboration, you will like something that will last, and it is good to prepare the meal together. Don't go to where you want to eat. It is ready, so that can cause problems. And another way I can say it is journey versus destination. Sometimes we want to get there, but collaboration is a journey that will require patience, will require perseverance. And when you have this, you learn lessons. There are lessons you learn that are beneficial not only for the collaboration, but also for you as a person, your development as a person, development of your career. But if you have destination mindset, it's full of excitement, and the excitements are short-lived, and before you know it, you begin to find shortcuts. All right, you begin to find a way to take people's ideas and use them because you think of destination. Another way is process versus results. Funding is important for collaboration, but it is not the main ingredient that drives collaboration. I said ideas, so you can work together towards getting that funding, even when it is not there. So when we think that, well, we need funding to make collaboration, it is not always the case. You can start with ideas, working together, and then generate ideas that can lead to funding. And if you see the ASFI monthly science seminars, that is why we have put the collaborative research groups. And what we have done is that we just have it open. And what we have told the members is think of ideas of what you want to do. It is difficult, but the groups that actually go through this, eventually you see that there will be no barrier for them of the ideas they can think, of what they can do. There are several things I have noted here, but just to allow other people, I just want to show you something
Okay.
I am working on one of my projects here. I remember this was in 2018 when I started thinking about this idea. And here in my institution in Sweden here, and some of my colleagues actually thought that, well, we don't know if this is going to work. So we had a project. I was thinking of in the area I work to bring all the research in the respiratory area in Sweden together into one platform. And people say, well, are you sure they will accept? Are you sure, how is that going to be? So we developed a project plan. We call it Stellar. Stellar means, those who want to go to the stars, to the sky. And it was very ambitious. So at the time, we had only 2 studies that were working together. This in the northernmost part of Sweden, and where I'm based here. We started, and these places were empty. We didn't have anybody. And then we were able to get funding, and we started developing the platform. So Stella moved to what we call Bridge Sweden. So we transferred it to Bridge Sweden. And today, after 5 years, I tell you, we have brought today. Last week I was asking the coordinator, and she told me that we have 24 studies that have joined this platform. 24 studies. And that is so amazing because we didn't believe this could happen. And so studies are joining, and what is happening nowadays is that we are not the only one going out to ask for people to join. People hear what is happening and they write us. I heard of this platform, can I join? And now we are planning to go to Norway. We are planning to go to Denmark. We are planning to go to Finland. We are planning to have Brit Nordic, not just Brit Sweden. So the point here is ideas. When you have the ideas, give it time. Then you begin to see that it begins to saturate. But don't be result oriented. Don't be just expectation. Don't be destination oriented. Allow it to grow, and then you begin to see the results of collaboration. I know you have mentioned institutional policies, national policy. Those are important, but for me, we as researchers, we need to be getting it right first before we migrate to that point. If we do not have the right attitude, if we do not have the right perspectives, no matter whatever policy is there, even when the policies become right, I think we'll still have bad collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Before I leave Dr. Ochechi to continue with the guest panel, let me quickly take 1 or 2 minutes to read some of the reactions we have on the chat box, and so that we can also intimate other colleagues what is happening. Someone says that effective collaboration thrives on genuine interest and active participation. That's about Nenjla Eta, and he said that striking the right balance ensures teams leverage the strength of both approaches while minimizing delays. Now, a question comes from Moyoluwa. He said, what's your advice guest panelists, please note that question. What's your advice on getting industry to collaborate? I think you have spoken about that, and I think that we should not spend more time on that. Now, Chiza Ikpendu said most of these policies are formulated by university senate, by academics. I believe it's just the crap syndrome Dr. Chichi has talked about, and yes, that has been dealt with. Then somebody says that collaboration is wonderful, but how can one find the minds to collaborate with? Yes, I want to speak to this by taking your mind to what Professor Bright just mentioned. And what I think from that discussion was that you must have the right attitude to collaboration. And I remember in my customer service class, we learned that customer service starts from A and ends with A. And that A means attitude. So as a researcher, we need to start developing or start reorganizing or rewind our attitude. So I'll be able to put all of these challenges that we have seen today into a positive thing. So on this note, yeah, Professor Ines also said this is the major problem we have. Professor Bright has talked about mindset. So we need to change our mindset, change for a better attitude. So on this note, I'll go over back to Professor Dr. Uchechi to take on our guest panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. It's been a pleasure hearing from every one of us. The contributions have been top-notch. And of course, Professor Bright, he said a lot in a very short time. And one of my take-home is the issue of ideation. You know, is like I said earlier, most times as African scientists, we feel the most important thing is the funding. And that's the reason behind the JAPA syndrome. Everybody looking for bigger funds. Everybody wants to get the money. But it's about the idea. Because from my own perspective, until our ideas are being transformed to solve real world problems, we've not started yet. And that's why I think African scientists are still dwindling somehow. But thank God for some Nigerians who are, you know, breaking the glass ceiling by ensuring that their names are heard on the global scene. Of course, we know many young scientists belong here on ASFI. As we grow together, I want all of us to, you know, resonate with these words that have been shared on this tea time today. When you go back home, ask yourself, it's not just about the funding. What are my ideas? What can I work on? Those were my questions. I think last year, when I had an idea in my mind, after one of ASFI's program, where Dr. When the woman in charge of project I2M was invited from University of Lagos, and that spurred my interest. I was like, oh, so I can actually make extra funds as an academic just from patenting what I know, patenting my idea. And you will not believe it. My idea has been transformed into a product which is about to be scaled into the market. And I call it Eco Green Fees Technologies. In fact, if you follow my LinkedIn page, I've been talking a lot about Eco Green Fix, and I'm looking forward to receiving my royalties, just like Professor Kesan. Professor Kesan told us about royalties today. I can't wait to also start consulting for companies, for industries. And I think that's what we should be looking at, and not just the fund. Because of course, if you have the ideas, you have industries, you have private partners who want to, you know, support you. But the issue is that we want a cooked food. Just like Professor Bright said, we don't want to walk through the process. But I believe that after today, we'll have a change of mindset. So I give it back to Professor Kesan. Thank you so much for being on the platform. Can you speak to all of those questions just in a few minutes so we can wrap up for today? Yeah, thank you so much.
Said we should speak to the questions.
Yes,
just give a general recap of what has been discussed in the last few minutes, and from that, what our time is fast spent.
Yes, I thank you so much for the opportunities once again, and I'm happy with the contribution from Professor Bright Nwaru. Very, very key positive points, especially issue of idea development before you thought of anything like funding, and the tenacity of the researchers for you to be up and doing, to be persistent until the idea is transformed into reasonable products. These are some of the key things we ought to have mentioned much earlier. Then on a general basis, we have to look for few solutions that may help us foster collaboration between African researchers and with other aspects like industries, private businesses as well. We should have like regional research network. And this is exactly what I think African Science Frontier Initiative is doing. We should have more of ASFI, and we need more membership, and we need to have advocacy campaign to have more members and have like orientations for at different levels. This webinar is good. We have other programs, maybe sometimes physical, not virtual, to extend the work of this kind of regional research networks. Then we have already spoken about strengthening collaboration between the industry and the research institutions and academia, as well as private businesses. Then issue of promoting open access publishing in Africa. You know, most of the local researchers, they're home-based. Someone will become a professor by publishing a certain number of articles or attending conferences, but all are fully paid. You have to pay for everything. We need to have support for our research and publications. For instance, some people have like, what do you call it, funding for a particular program. Then they should extend to the general network. Some people have idea to publish, but they don't have funding for that idea. With collaboration, if you have the fund, you add to the idea and become an author and also make it achievable. These are some of the things. Then issue of research mobility, researchers' mobility. If I want to move from here to Uganda, for instance, or from Uganda to South Africa, or from South Africa to Namibia, from Namibia to Egypt or to Morocco, as a researcher, African Union and regional bodies like ECOWAS should have a policy of giving instant visas, because once a researcher moves from one country to another, a knowledge is being transferred and ideas are being deliberated and the collaboration are being established. Instead of wasting time with Africa to secure visa and sometimes visa denial for researchers, these are some of the things that we campaign as a research network to African bodies. I think with this, I believe collaboration will be made easier on the African continent.
Wow, thank you, Prof. Our time is ticking, and I will hope to continue with you. But before we leave, I want to call on Professor Emma to help us do a virtual photograph. Every one of us, let's pick up our glass of tea, a cup of tea, our coffee, our chocolate. Professor Emma, where are you? Please, everybody can turn on your video. Let's have the group photograph, turn on your videos. Professor Emma, please, you help us take the group photograph.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Professor Casey, where's your cup? Wow, no, I can't see this, Prof. Right? No.
I don't know. The cup is a bit away.
Please,
you don't see mine? You say don't see mine?
This is beautiful.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Professor Emma, please help us take a good photograph. Are you doing that for us? Professor Emma?
Speaking?
Okay, right. Thank you very much. Yes, on this note, I want to welcome our president, Professor Eunice Fimbali, to give us a vote of thanks while we are wrapping up this today's edition. Professor Fimbali, over to you.
Thank you very much, my wonderful Tea Time team. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Kezan.
Yeah.
For touching on the very nerve, that is affecting our relationship in the African academia in general and in ASFI in particular. We really feel it. We want to collaborate. We need the collaboration, but the ingredients that will push us to do better collaboration are not there. and you have come today and you have discussed them. And I hope that it is going to impact on ASFI members, and our collaboration will now take a different turn, because it has really been difficult, it has really been challenging. This year is our ASFI collaboration year. So we thank you for contributing to the success of this team. So thank you very much, all the members who have come in today. We are about 34 of us, so it is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, Professor Emma, you are going to give us the closing remark. But before you do that to us, let me reiterate that one of the things that we want us to take home today is that we need to have patience and we need to persevere while we are learning, while we are doing collaboration. In the course of collaborating with ourselves to bring about impact, we need to be patient and we need to persevere and we need to have the time to learn lessons from all of this. So Professor Emma, please give us a closing remark as we close today's edition. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel and the Chief, for bringing the discussion today. And thank you everyone for attending. I am Iman Sobh. I am the ASFI Director of Science and Communication. For collaboration, we said that it is a theme of ASFI this year. And this is one of our working areas since we started. Collaboration needs patience and persistence. And also we have a lot of challenges, as you mentioned, but the first and biggest challenge is a personal one, which is the fear of failure, the fear of ideas to be stolen. So it is important to get rid of your fears and start collaboration, because this is the easiest one. Lack of funding, lack of institutional support, lack of a lot of institutional challenges will not be removed until you get out from your fears. You start collaboration within your department, within your institution, within your country. You need interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary collaboration, and then you go out of these two multi-country collaboration. And as you all know, ASFI is a good medium for collaboration. We have a lot of opportunities for collaboration. The most important one is ASFI seminar series. We have research collaboration group, and also we have a lot of opportunities through the mentoring program, through also the courses. So just be a member of ASFI and you will be engaged in somehow collaboration. So don't miss this opportunity, and please join those very active and patient, persisting persons within the ASFI network and start collaboration from today. Just join. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we can now draw our curtain to a close. It's a few minutes past 1 hour, or maybe exactly 1 hour, because we started 11:05 exactly. So thank you again, Professor Case. Thank you again, every ASFI finest leaders. Yeah, I call them finest leaders because they are just the best. You know, in ASFI, we grow from the scratch. Yeah, you might not know how far we have come until you join us. So come and join ASFI and see how the journey. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, come and join us. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Let me also thank you, Professor Bright, for this platform. Thank you, Professor Bright. Thank you, Professor Emma, for this platform. We appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks. Bye. See you next edition in June.
Bye.
We'll see you next edition is in June 13, 2025. Next edition.
Thank you very much. See you in the second research seminar series, next one.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.